Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the International Mastermind Think and Grow Rich show. My name is Galen Bingham. I am the leadership strategist, and I'm just so excited every time I get to hang out with you guys for this conversation. I missed you. I was not here last week, but I am here today. And boy, we are going to have an incredible conversation because we're going to be talking about faith. And faith is a state of mind which you may develop at will after you've mastered all the other 13 principles, because it's a state of mind which develops voluntarily through applications of all those other principles that we've been talking about. So this is going to be an amazing conversation. We've got incredible guests. We've got incredible co-hosts. The gang's all here. We're just waiting for you. And there is a trivia question. So you guys know how this happens when I'm the host. We've got some GB points at stake here. So for some GB points, check out that trivia question, and I'm going to award, I don't know, I'm feeling kind of frisky. I'm going to award 400 GB points for the first person who can answer this question. Faith is a state of mind which may be induced by fill in the blank. And I see answers coming in already. I see Dr. Raquel, she's got some answers. Is that the right answer? I'm going to let a couple more answers come in before I start awarding the valued GB points. And I'm going to give you another opportunity, and I'm going to do all this before I bring in my co-host. I also want you to go to our YouTube channel and make sure that you have subscribed. I may actually give another 100 GB points to everyone. This is crazy. This is crazy. Everyone who goes to Think and Grow Rich Mastermind Live and hits that subscribe button so that you can be aware and you can be part of this conversation. Hit the subscribe button, hit that little bell so that you'll know when we are coming on the air. So we're going to award the GB points after we bring in our guest and after we bring in our host. So let's start bringing in the host, because I could have this conversation with you one-on-one. Like I said, I missed you guys. So first, we're going to bring in Dr. Peter James. Dr. Peter James, what's going on, man?
So excited to be here this morning, Galen. Good to see you. Good to see everyone as we dive into this faith chapter, as we have a special guest also this morning. My name is Dr. Peter A. James, the high performance coach, helping you to shift your mindset. But Galen, I have to remember when I was a kid, I went to Sunday school, I went to church, right? And I remember the Sunday school teacher having us recite verses or even songs for that matter over and over again, like from the Bible, obviously, but also songs that we would perform and things like that. And some of those songs have stuck with me to this day. You know, you think about songs from when you're in Sunday school. He's got the whole world in your hands, right? Songs such as that. But then I dive into Think and Grow Rich, and Napoleon Hill says, repetition or affirmation of orders to the subconscious mind is the only method of voluntary development of the emotion of faith. And so now I'm starting to connect the dots, right? I'm starting to realize that this autosuggestion, this affirmations, these recitings are more than just the recitings. There's a deeper meaning to this. How can this seep into my brain, but also into my subconscious and manifest itself into actions and behavior? So I'm excited today because we're going to stay on this faith chapter, and hopefully our guest will even manifest how it's played out in her life as well. Good stuff.
Well, I tell you, this is going to be a great conversation, and I think you're right. You know, those things that we learn through repetition, particularly when we were younger, they have a way of working themselves into our lives now. So I can't think of another person who's done that better than our next co-host, Miss Pagine, the speaker who only requires one name. What do you think about this whole faith chapter? I know that's brand new to you. You don't have much faith in anything, right?
No, I'm really working on it, but I really am. One of the things that Peter said, and I just love what he was saying about learning things through repetition, learning things, from the time we were children. And I want to remind people that marketing media has absolutely leveraged faith by faith in their product by giving you repetition over and over and over and over again, either about their song. If you're young enough to remember Yum Yum Bumblebee Bumblebee, and put in the chat what the rest of that song is. Or if now people can know when I go, everybody knows what that stands for. So marketing has been using this concept of autosuggestion over and over and over and over again to embed in our minds what they want from us. I would say that when we were little and we learned certain prayers or certain messages over and over, sometimes we can say them by rote, but we really didn't transform them until we started putting emotion to it. And I'll say on page 47, Napoleon Hill writes, all thoughts which have been emotionalized, given feeling, and mixed with faith begin immediately to translate themselves into the physical equivalent or counterpart. This is critically important because the emotion of going, oh, I do chants all the time. I'm bold, I'm brave, I'm seen and I'm heard, and I am paid well. Saying that kind of chant over and over manifests what you want. I would believe and I would declare and I will say that what we know about Think and Grow Rich and the masterminds is that as we've had our own chants, masterminds work. Masterminds help me get where I need to be, where I want to be, where I'm going. If we have that with faith and emotion and we put our heart and soul, right? So one is what we're thinking, but when we mix it with our heart and soul, there's such power. And I don't know anybody, I am obviously enthusiastic, but Anne McNeil, who's following me, her energy and her pose is one of calmness. But I am very curious. Hey, Anne, what is your affirmations? What do you say to yourself on a daily basis? Inquiring minds really want that.
Well, first of all, Pekin and Luecinda's a part of this, but I actually recite the self-confidence formula. So if you want to know what I say, I mean, I could sit here and recite it verbatim, but I don't think that our audience want to hear that in totality. But I will say this. I know I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite chief purpose in life.
Oh, that is powerful. Can you just repeat that one more time? The way you said that?
Well, I know. No, really. I do know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action toward its attainment. And I here and now promise to render such action. Now, I say that because I do say that and I write it every day as a part of the Clarity Mastermind. And when I tell you the difference it has made, you see, faith cometh by hearing and hearing and hearing and hearing. And oftentimes we religious folk, we limit it to the word of God only. But it is by hearing and hearing the repetition of any words. And so I want to ask each of our listeners in the chat, tell us what are the words you are reciting to yourself as we start this conversation, because we're all here to support you too. But I think that this is so powerful that we don't realize that. And I'm reminded of the story I was rereading in preparation for today about the guy that did the mental suicide when he stole that money from the bank. And he kept saying over and over and over, oh my God, this is going to kill me. Oh my God, this. And guess what? It did kill him. And so we get to choose to live by faith from the power of the tongue. But I'm like Galen, I can go on. So we'll get back to the program. I'm excited.
This is, we are ready to go. We're on fire. This is going to be amazing. And we're again, I'm going to give you just another 15 seconds to put in the chat your answer to our trivia question. And remember, we got 400 GB points at stake here. 400 GB points, and this is for some pretty good prizes. So the question is, faith is a state of mind which may be induced by fill in the blank. We've got an early answer in from Dr. Raquel. So put in the answer in the chat as your answer to your question. We're going to give you 5 seconds to put your answer in, or else we're gonna go for it. We're gonna dole out those 400 GB points. Okay, we got Imelda Wallace. I see you there. Cindy Blue. I see you. Come on now. Come on. I see you. Okay, so the answer to that question is, it is induced by auto suggestion. So Dr. Raquel, you are absolutely right. You get 400 GB points, and we've upgraded our prizes. You are halfway to earning one napkin holder. So keep working. And you are on your way to getting a single napkin holder. They are amazing gifts. And I also offered a couple of GB points to everyone who subscribes to the YouTube channel. So I want you to put in the chat whether or not you're subscribed. So all I want to see is subscribed. So just type subscribed in the chat, and you can actually subscribe and then type subscribe in the chat. And we're going to dole out some GB points.
Can I say something? Because you must be a little bit older than me. What is GB?
GB, Galen
Bingham.
Galen.
Oh! Oh!
Hey,
I remember my grandmother used to have a book that was called the Green Book with stamps that were all green.
No. My mom says that's the most valuable currency on the planet is GB points.
Oh, that is true. That is true.
Hey, look, I know that we've upgraded our prizes, but our guest, which we're going to bring in at this point in time, she is the perfect person to have this conversation. She describes herself as a Christian, as a mother, as a grandmother, but she's also a representative of a consultant with My 31. And if you guys get a moment, as a matter of fact, we're going to give you a link here in the chat where you can go check out some of the things that they offer and that you can purchase through My 31. Oh my gosh, it's hard for me to believe, but they're actually better than the steak knives that you can get with GB points. And even though I've upgraded to napkin holders, oh my gosh, what you can pick up at My 31 is amazing. So with that, let's bring in our guest, Miss Luecinda Johnson-Monroe. Welcome to the show. How are you doing? You're on mute.
Inviting me.
There you go. There you go. So how are you doing? Uh-oh, we can't hear you. We can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
We can hear you now. We can.
Okay.
How are you
Good
doing?
morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. So we're gonna get into this conversation because one of the things that we're curious about is just kind of your background, your journey. You've done so many different things, and at the same time, you're also trying to stand up this next phase of your life, and you've been kind of leaning on not only your Christian religion's background, which many of us have. You've also been leaning into Think and Grow Rich. And so I just really want to know, what role is Think and Grow Rich playing in this transition that you are in the process of making?
Think and Grow Rich, thanks to Ann McNeil that introduced me to the book and to her group. Think and Grow Rich has enlightened me, and I've gotten just to auto suggestion because I go back and forth with the book. Sometimes I put it down for a while, but it helps me because it does have a lot built on faith. And that is my journey, my walk, and it has been for years. I'm not perfect. I'm still a work in progress. And it just helped with Napoleon. If you look at some of his statements and some of his other quotes he done, the people in the Bible, they didn't focus on themselves. They focused on working for God. They were missionary. We are disciples in the field, and they didn't have a place to live. Most of them didn't have any money at this point because they were walking, and they were just sharing the faith and healing people. And that's always been my faith, to be a servant. And I think I'm great at it because just give me an assignment, I'll do it. I go out to the needy. I feed the hunger. Wherever there's a need, I've been with Red Cross for, oh my God, over 15 years. I've volunteered with Red Cross in several positions. I've been in my church for 26 years, serving in different capacity. I've served as a minister of faith, just prayer warrior. I was a Stevens minister. So Think and Grow Rich, I go back and I look at the book, and it's like, these are things that I know of, but I didn't put it in perspective of a business as far as myself growing a business itself. So.
Well, fantastic. Well, I just really love this, how this conversation is heading, because we talk about faith a lot, but we really don't ever talk about how to develop faith. And as we have shared earlier, faith can be developed. Faith is not something that you either have or that you don't. And one of the things I really enjoy about this book is how these principles kind of sit on top of one another and how they connect. Pagine, you've got to be enjoying this conversation so far with your focus on women in leadership, women in businesses. How does these 13 principles work together to allow us to have this conversation that we're about to have? You're on mute again.
I was protecting you all. I have to tell you that I'm so glad that you said that, Galen, because I think when you look at the 13 principles, and I am going to direct this to Luecinda and to women who are watching, these 13 principles are so critically important for you to grow yourself and your business and your financial success. And here's why it is so important. Women and finances are not discussions that have happened on a normal, general way. You know, there was no messages from the time you're little, really, except if you're in the aunt's house and your aunt's daughters, but no real conversations about money, being rich, knowing what that is. And we are, like Luecinda was saying, so often we're serving, but we're also not receiving, because of our blocks of our minds, the prosperity that the God universe also wants to give her. There's always this give and there's a receiving. The challenge is we give, and sometimes we're not aware that we're blocking through our thoughts what we're receiving. And if you look at these 13 principles and you read the book and you apply it, your mind goes and opens up that you are valuable, you are strong, you are able to receive if you follow these 13 principles. Let's roll and see what those 13 principles are.
Number 1 is desire. Napoleon Hill said that everything starts with a burning desire, a compelling reason for doing what it is we do. Step 2 is faith, having belief in our ability to attain that which we desire. Step 3 is what we call autosuggestion. Autosuggestion simply means being very intentional about the things that we are pouring into our thoughts, into our brains, and into our consciousness. Our brains, our minds will receive everything automatically, but we have to work extra hard to make sure that the positive things are what we are feeding ourselves, because those positive thoughts are going to turn into positive actions. Step number 4 is specialized knowledge. No one person knows everything, even about whatever their particular area of expertise might be. And the value of the MasterMind principle is using the specialized knowledge of other people. Step number 5 is imagination, the workshop of the mind. Everything starts with our imagination and our thoughts, the burning desire to transform those thoughts into our reality. In order to do that, we have to take a look at step 6, which is organized planning. That is how we crystallize our desire into action, organizing ourselves. Having the thought and not acting on the thought isn't going to get us anywhere. We have the thought, we go through the organized planning to transform that thought into action. Step number 7 is decision. What Napoleon Hill said is the mastery of procrastination. Napoleon Hill said that the antidote to procrastination is simply to make a decision and then move on that decision. Step 8 is persistence. We have to have a sustained effort which is induced by our faith in order to achieve our goals. One of Napoleon Hill's books I love, even the title, 3 Feet from Gold. Those people who became rich during the gold rush in the Wild Wild West days didn't do that because they were necessarily smarter or had better information than anyone else. It's because they stayed just a little bit longer. Sometimes people left when they were just literally 3 feet from gold. So hanging in there, being persistent, is step number 8. Step number 9, the power of the mastermind, the driving force. None of us can accomplish anything on our own. Everybody, I don't care who you are, from the most prominent person to the person who might be considered the lowest on the totem pole, everybody has someone who helped them get to where they are. And the power of the mastermind is being able to use those influences around us, use the thoughts, use the knowledge, use the exploration of other people to help us in achieving our goal. Step number 10, the mystery of sex transmutation. This title can be a little confusing, but essentially what the mystery of sex transmutation means is that we oftentimes in our society think of sex as being purely physical. It is absolutely physical, but what Napoleon Hill teaches us is that sex also has an emotional element, and that sex is the strongest of our desires. That if we can take our sexual energy, transform that into positive, creative influences, it can propel us to new heights. And so we spend quite a bit of time talking about the mystery of step 10, which is sex transmutation. Step number 11 is the subconscious mind, which Napoleon Hill tells us is the connecting leap between our human mind and the infinite intelligence, the source of all thought, the source of all creativity. Conscious mind, we spent some time talking about how we use that through the influence of autosuggestion and what we're feeding into our mind. Step number 12, which is the brain, the broadcasting and receiving station of thought. Final step number 13, the sixth sense, the door to the temple of wisdom. This is the final step through which infinite intelligence may and will communicate voluntarily without any effort from or demands by the individual. The principle is the apex of the philosophy. It can be assimilated, understood, and applied only by first mastering the other 12 principles.
All right. Hey, well, welcome back. Welcome back. I never grow tired of listening to all 13 principles. And again, I want to welcome in. I see Doretha Dennis has joined us. Welcome, Doretha. JSW Moorish Temple of Amen Ra. I see you. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got so many people joining us in YouTube. As a matter of fact, what I want to do is we're going to talk about accountability as well, but put in the chat, because we all know someone who needs to be part of this conversation, but they're not. So I want you to post someone's name. We're going to put them on blast. And I want you to type in blank, fill in someone's name, needs to be part of this conversation. So put that in the chat. And because that's a form of accountability. And so with accountability, I want to bring in one of my weekly accountability partners, Dr. Peter James. Dr. Peter, what do you think about this conversation? You started us off with a Sunday school lesson. You've got to be enjoying this so far.
Loving the faith chapter. First of all, there, Galen. Loving first of all the principles, the 13 chapters in Napoleon Hill, and I'm excited to talk with Luecinda. So I want to bring her in as we dive into some questions for how this chapter may be manifesting in her life. So, I did talk about the Sunday school lessons early on, and I did hear even about your own faith, Luecinda. So thank you so much for sharing that with us and how that's such an important part of your life overall. But, faith has to be partnered with works, even as you described a little bit as well. So I'm dying to hear how this faith, how this reliance now is manifest into your actions and behaviors, especially as it relates to your business objectives, your career. What does that look like overall?
Well, overall, like I said, I've been with my this particular church for the last 26 years, and growing up in a church down in Miami and West Palm when I moved here, there was a big difference in the way the message in the Bible is taught. And a lot of it, like you said, is repetition. You had the Bible studies and the Sunday schools. And of course, everybody had the summer camps where you were in church for a week or two. And I noticed, depending on place in my life, when I'm reading, I can hear the same verse, the same chapter year after year, but it depends on where I am in my life at that point, what it means to me. And it speaks to me differently each time. So I've served on boards. Right now, me and my husband, we co-teach couples class called Re-Engage. And then I have to make sure I'm being fed. So I'm always in classes, taking classes, Bible studies, women groups, sisterhood groups. And I haven't stepped out to where I taught my own class yet. To this point, I've only done it with kids. I did kids for years. That was one of my first ministries, working with the kids ministry, because they love learning, especially if you're going to reward them. Mm-hmm. And as an adult, our reward is, I'm just looking forward to my heavenly home. So my rewards is there. But as far as my business, I never thought, I know the repetition is very important, and I have to remember that. I remember my SCF. I do that self-confidence. I have to do that daily. Like Ann said, I have to hear myself repeat it. And I have to think of myself. I get to work because I'm in government. It's very challenging. So you have to be careful of what you say. But I've already told them, I have my gospel music in the background every day. I send out verses every day to over 100 people. And I have to remember that repetition. I remember myself. I'm a child of God. I'm perfectly made. My business is something that I never thought of it as a money per se. The services I was doing to help smaller businesses, especially with the training where I do safety training. And it came by because of my old job. They asked me before I left to continue, if I would continue helping them. And of course, that was not only because I just love sharing with others and teaching, I love also gaining experience and gaining that. And I just never thought until I met Ann that it could be a lucrative business in that way. I was always thinking that, okay, I'm going to retire in whoever I'm working for, not working for myself in that sense. So she taught me that I need to be thinking of, it's not selfish to think about myself at times, and that there is a goal at the end. And like I said, I'm not getting any younger, and I do have grandkids that I've instilled that, okay, you got to get out and get a job, but learn something to be able to share with others. So, you can be your own boss one day. So mine is repetition. Looking at Napoleon, like I said, I haven't gotten past the auto suggestion because I'm stuck at this one spot. And so the SCF is reminding me that repetition, I need to get past. We just finished a 21-day fast, and it just reiterated what I need to know. You know things, but somebody has to remind you sometimes.
Yeah, the SCF formula, that self-confidence formula, is something that's so beneficial. Even to me to this day, continues to repeat that, manifest in my own personal life, my prayer life as well, but also into my career and my business. And I've seen the results phenomenally. I know someone else who's seen positive results in her business. Pegeen, I want to bring you on into this conversation because I know you got some examples, but also some questions for Luecinda.
Luecinda, I love that you've been sharing, and I love that you've been sharing about the transformational change as you were going through retirement and then moving, to these new careers. And I'd love to just come on. Let me just see her, because I want to ask you, how has Think and Grow Rich, and especially this faith, even though you've been working with Ann, how has this transitioned you, for instance, to decide to sell the bags at My 31? How is this helping you? And do you use the self-confidence formula to grow that business?
Well, at first, like I said, when I joined 31, I did it because I just love shopping. And I needed a bag. It was a lunch tote, what I really wanted at the time. And because it's a group that was built on faith, on Proverbs 31, I've noticed that the women in the group either have a need to fellowship, or they needed financial to help with their family. And to be able to share that with other women, it's just been amazing. I've done fundraisers. Every Christmas, I give my bags. I've spent hundreds of dollars and just pretty much share, and I give them a note. I have bookmarks that I've made up and created when I put out my catalogs and stuff. And I'll send that out. Sometime I'll be in the grocery store having lunch or dinner, and sometime I hand the waitress a tip and I hand her a book. I may never hear back from them, but I shared, and they may look up. I've gotten text messages, or what about Facebook? And I'm not a big social media person, and there's so much negative going on. And I kind of put it on the back burner. Like I said, since COVID, I can do most of it online, but I'm a people person at times. I want you to see it, feel it, touch it. Women, we want to know what we're getting. I want to know what the size is. Do we have another color? So I like that I can go out. I've ordered products. It's like, I want to see what that look like. I'll order it, send it to you, look at it, feel it. If you don't like it, send it back. I'll return it, find something else. But
I love that.
Sales.
Can I ask you, you meet weekly with your team, or your team leader, correct?
We chat. Yes, we chat. We try to do weekly.
Like, does that, we talk a lot about masterminding. Can you think, how does that make you feel when you're talking to your team leader or meeting the people in the business with you about supporting you and all that? What does that feel like?
It's very rewarding. My top leader is very, I guess she's a social person. She used to be in the school district, and she's in Carolina. She's not even local, so that she's very encouraging, large family. And she always send me a scripture, or she say, I love those scriptures you send me, the verses every morning. I'm sharing those. And she encouraged me to, there is months when I was like, I'm not feeling it. I'm busy with other things. Just like, okay, that's good. But think about self. Try to think, if you got 1 hour this week of self-improvement, anything just for yourself. Go for a walk, talk to yourself, talk to total strangers in the park as I'm walking. How's your dog? How's the kids? And I get people that stop me and tell me their whole life story. Have no idea what their name is. They'll just start talking. And my husband's like, you are such a butterfly. You know everybody in church. We must have thousands of members, and you seem to know everyone. It's like, not really, but their face is familiar, and I'll just speak, and that's me.
I love this. I love how you're taking your faith and your business and your social community of church and kind of melding it all over together. So I'm going to ask you, what's your mantra that you say to yourself over and over, especially about your business? What is it that you say over and over in your head? What's your chant? What's your thing?
Don't think I'm selfish, but I think
I don't think that you're selfish. Trust me.
I go through this every morning. I am wonderful. I am successful. I am a child of God. I am growing. I am going to share today. And there's days I don't get a chance because I don't meet anybody different, but I still repeat it every day. I'm wonderful. I'm a child of God. I'm beautiful. I'm made in his image. And that's me. Middle of the day, if things go bad, it's like, okay, Lord, I know you got this storm and it's yours. And I'll take a walk in the parking lot, or I'll just get on my knees in the office and close my door and give it to him.
I love this. I love you. And I know that, just your sharing your mantra gives everybody else, you gave permission, and you got to say that, right? We've got to love ourselves and know that we're loved. We have to. And I love your energy. And I love that, Ann McNeil, I know that you have your mantra. You shared it with us. So I'm going to bring you on, and, Luecinda. So I'm curious. So you've seen Luecinda transform and grow. You've influenced her. But I'm curious, and what do you know about her mantra that has changed her?
Well, actually, I remember, and Lucinda might remember this, and it is when we talk about the repetition, and we talk about the subliminal seduction that we all experience from commercials, whether we realize that we're listening to them or not. And you ask yourself the question, why is it that during the Super Bowl, they pay millions for seconds to impact how we think? And so when I met Luecinda and I invited her to our Think and Grow Rich Friday accountability call, and I'll encourage all of you to join us. Yes, you can go to International Masterminders Association, or you can go to Eventbrite and just register Think and Grow Rich Friday accountability call. And we can put that in the chat. Imelda, Doretha, somebody help me out if we can put that in the chat, because I think that it starts there. And Luecinda would come and she would just be there, not say anything. I don't know, Luecinda, if it was months or years. I don't remember how long it was that you just showed up and you just listened. And then you listened. And then you listened. And eventually she would press her, raise her hand and say, listen, I want to share. And she would share something that she read. And what we do, each person gets 1 minute only to share your aha moment from reading Think and Grow Rich. 1 minute only. And we ask you to give us one thing you want us to hold you accountable for your business, not your personal, not all of that, just your business. And so Luecinda would just come and she would listen. Now, I want to go back to faith. Faith cometh by hearing and hearing and hearing the word, whatever word you want to call it, the word. And by her, and I like something that Emerson said. He said, by lowly listening, you will hear. Lowly listening, you will hear. And it's the repetition, it's the auto suggestion of constantly hearing the same thing over and over and over again. So Luecinda would come and she would listen and listen, listen. And eventually she raised her hand and she said, listen, this is what I'm going through. I read this and it was helpful for me. That's it. Over time, from doing that, she eventually started participating with our McNeil Factor Clarity Mastermind. And that's once a month we meet and we have exercises that we do every single day. We don't talk, we don't do all of that. And all we do is to write, recite, and or listen to the self-confidence formula. And so slowly Luecinda started listening. Now, I'm sharing this about her, and thank you again for the question, because everybody's not going to be a Begin. And a lot of people cannot relate to Begin. Everybody's not going to be a Galen Bingham, the leadership coach. There's some people that's not going to be able to relate to him. Same thing with Dr. Peter James. Same thing with Ann McNeil. Everybody don't relate to me. But they're going to be like a magnet by faith, applied faith. They're going to be people, Luecinda, who will only relate to you. They're going to hear this podcast. They're going to feel your spirit, and they're only going to relate to you. Out of the 5 of us on here today, they will not hear anything the rest of us are saying. They're only going to hear you. And I share this because I want to encourage every single one of you who are listening to this, either live or in the future on this podcast. You have a voice. You have been given a gift. But by faith, you must act on what you hear. And the first action you take is actually listening. And then having a desire for that which you want to receive and or achieve. And if you don't have a desire, it doesn't matter if you listen or not. It doesn't matter if you act, because you're not acting towards something specific that only you want. And so now, and I'll share this, and I'll give it back to you, Galen. But when we were preparing for the show, Galen asked the question. He said, okay, Luecinda, what made you decide to come on the show? And this is my point about listening. She said, well, I've never seen the show, but I was asked to come on and I decided I wanted to grow and stretch. Now, many of you have been listening to this podcast, but do you want to come on this podcast with us, this Think and Grow Rich Mastermind live, and grow and stretch? So we really admire your faith walk, Luecinda, by coming on and having never heard the podcast, have never seen the show, but you were willing to take a step of faith and act on your faith with active faith, and you're here. And so we want to encourage you to continue to just take one little step at a time. But I also want to encourage all of you that's listening, take the first step. If you're interested in being a part of this podcast, you can put it in the chat. Yes, I'm interested in being a part of the podcast, and we will send you the information to register. But also, you must have a desire. You must have a dream in order to have that dream come true. So, Galen, back to you.
Yeah, well, hey, I just want to build off of something that you said. I mean, I asked everyone earlier to put in the chat anyone that you believe needs to be part of this conversation. And I see Cynthia Seeley. You're on blast, Cynthia. You're on blast. You need to be part of this conversation. And the way that you be part of this, the first step is that you go to our YouTube channel. You go to Think and Grow Rich Mastermind Live and subscribe and hit that little bell, So if you're watching this, or if you're a friend of Cynthia, you need to tell Cynthia that she needs to watch the show, right? But back to what Miss Ann was saying, if you know someone who needs to be on this show, or if you believe that you've got a message that you could use to help us share the importance of using these principles so that people can realize their goals and their dreams, we want you to email to imablogtalk@gmail.com. And I'm going to say it again. Send an email to imablogtalk@gmail.com, and we'll get that information to you so that you can feel prepared, feel comfortable coming on the show, and we can have that conversation. Want to go back to Dr. Peter. Because one of the things that we talk about a lot is how this is the show for mastermind groups. And there's this power with being part of a group of like-minded people who can help you, who can encourage you, who can challenge you, who can help you see life in a more broader fashion than maybe you would on your own. Talk a little bit about this journey that you've been on, and the role that the annual meeting has played in that journey for you.
Yeah, such a great question there, Galen, overall. And so masterminds are not just me on this show. As you know, Galen, of course, we mastermind weekly, challenging ourselves with our lives as well as our careers and business, right? There's always another level. There's always another level to achieve. There's always another level to stretch. And I have the faith that I will accomplish that level, no matter what it is, no matter what the goal is that I'm trying to reach overall. And so, yes, it's so important to have this weekly opportunity to be challenged by you, be challenged by a mastermind partner. However, we here at the International Mastermind Association, we also have an annual meeting, which just passed not too long ago, but we want you to already be putting your mind in towards how can I now take this to that next level and be thinking about annual goals, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly goals, even life goals for that matter, that I can dive into. So I'm not even just talking about wealth or career or business. I'm talking about all the different aspects of your life, to include even writing your obituary about how you want your life to be designed. And every January, we meet in Boca Raton, Florida, at the same time, same place, to challenge ourselves on what these goals will be. And next year, 2023, will be no different. We will come together and meet in order to do so. But you have to bring your homework to that meeting. It's not daunting homework by any means, but what it is the opportunity to bring your life in a book form, what you have done, but where you would like to go, more importantly. And I'm so excited to be able to look forward to that next year. I'm a futurist type of person, Galen, so I'm already thinking about what that's going to look like for me. I have to consciously stay in the moment to really make what I put in my plan, make my plans put into place for 2022. So excited to chat with you tomorrow as well. Actually, Monday as well, Galen.
Yeah. So you speaking of chatting, want to bring our guest back in and just really talk to her a little bit more about her role and the impact that her mastermind group has played. I know that she's talked a lot about the Clarity Mastermind process, but what role has the support of other people in your group played in this confidence that you're building, this faith that you're building? What role has your group played in your success? You're on mute again. Unmute one more time.
I'm sorry. I never thought about it until today that we consider ourselves a mastermind group, because it was just a accountability, just to check in to see how everyone is doing. We see each other through health issue, family issues. We pray for each other wherever you need it. Business goals, how we doing. And like I said, when I started, I never thought about it as far as the money, because I was working full time. So I thought about it as what I was going to get, my discount for whatever I want to purchase, and to be able to share. And the women that I've shared with and that has purchased from me, that's on my daily prayer list. And not only do I send them the verse for the day, but if there's anything going on in their family, they also send me a text or call me. Can you pray for so and so? They're going in the hospital. Somebody just lost someone. And I never thought myself as a spiritual leader or anything either. I just thought myself as a person. I'm learning. I like to share with other people. I really thought myself as an introvert and that I wasn't an outgoing person. My husband laughed when I say that, but I remember one time I had to give a presentation for IBM. I used to be a programmer, and my boss says, "You're kind of quiet. You speak in a low tone. You need to be able to look at your audience, and you know your job. You know what you're doing and what you're speaking on, and you need to have that confidence." So he actually sent me to assertive class. And now my brother said, now we need to decertify you, because you're kind of at that point where it's like, if you know nobody want to listen, it's like you're not pushy, but it's like, okay, I'm giving you the word. You either take it and do what you want to do with it, or you move forward. And it's like you really don't care one way or the other. You share it. And I said, well, it's like the Bible. God said some people was gonna hear the word, do the will, and some it's gonna, just like the seeds, it's gonna fall to the wayside. When something happened, then they're gonna pick it up and, oh my God. But as long as things is going great, it's oh me. I'm the king of this, I'm the queen of this. But when things start falling apart, we looking for somebody else to fall on. And my accountability with my 31 family is been a family. And they've been supportive, just like the Friday morning calls. Like Ann say, sometimes I'm on the call and I don't say anything. Sometimes it's not because I didn't read or anything. Usually at 7 o'clock, I have to be to work by 8, open up, but I go in between 7 and 7:15 because I want to walk for half an hour before I get started. So I'll walk the facility for a half an hour listening to everyone else talk. And because so much traffic going on, I didn't want the distraction. So that's a lot of times why I don't speak. But the last time I actually took off work just so I can speak.
Wow.
So,
Well, hey, I got two more questions for you. Number one, how can people get a hold of you if they want you to be their consultant for My 31? How can they get a hold of you and make sure that they're getting access to your catalog through you? And then secondly, and probably most important, Dr. Raquel wants to know, can she use her GB points at My 31? Have we made that connection yet? Can we use Galen Bingham points at My 31?
you know what? Just for you at this morning, yes, she can. She can use her points toward it. Like I said, I like to help out, because if she like what she gets, guess what? She's going to share, and someone else is going to come out and purchase something for me. Or maybe she needs CPR. Who knows? I can do safety training still. But you can reach me at www.my31, spelled out THIRTYONE.com/Cindy J. Monroe.
Well,
Okay, and you have my phone number.
Well, fantastic. Well, this has been a great conversation, and I'm just so glad you were able to be here. I want to bring back on Ms. Pagine. So, Pagine, what are some key ahas that you got from this conversation? This talk of women entrepreneurship. This has got you bouncing in your seat. I know. But how can people get a hold of you if they want to get some Pagine power inspiration? And what are your ahas?
My ahas are, I want GB points because so that I can go to 31 and get one of my gifts. Hello. If I had known that from the beginning, I would have been all over the GB points. You can all reach me at powerwomenworldwide.com. You go to powerwomenworldwide.com, where you will find information about women in leadership and women in business. I host mastermind groups for women in business, do coaching, and we have a conference coming up on March 25th called powerwomenleadership.com. I love what you shared about going to your assertiveness course, because powerwomenleadership.com, the event is all about being seen, being heard, being bold, and being brave, and owning yourself so that you can be powerful at your job. That's what that's about. So I'm so glad to be here, Lucinda. I'm so happy to have met you. And everybody, check out her page at My 31, because there's a lot of good stuff there.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, I was tempted to do some shopping during the show, because I'm kind of slagging on my gifts, on my gift giving. So this might be an opportunity for me to up my game.
That's 100%. I haven't received a gift from you, so go ahead, go right there. You just could get something from me. I'll accept.
Fantastic. Miss Ann, what are your thoughts? You've got to be so impressed with seeing the journey that Lucinda has taken and hearing her story. What are some key ahas that you've gathered from this conversation, and how can people get a hold of you if they want to be inspired to think and grow rich?
Well, Galen, I first want to say to Lucinda, I am inspired. I'm inspired that you decided to take action by faith and also be a part of our McNeil Factor Clarity Mastermind, where you just continue to show up. And we did spotlight you actually this month. So to watch your progression, yes, we just spotlighted Lucinda a couple of weeks ago when we had our meeting. And so by faith, we've watched you and your growth toward your desire. And I just want to encourage everybody to just have a desire first, and then the faith kicks in. If you notice, the desire principle in the book comes before the faith principle in the book. There is a direct relationship, because you're having faith in what? To do what? To aspire to have what? If you don't have a desire. So I just want to encourage us in that. You can reach me at annmcneil.com/coaching and become a part of our McNeil Factor Clarity Mastermind group, but only if you are willing to do the work. Only if you are willing to do the work. You can go to annmcneil.com/coaching and be a part of our McNeil Factor Clarity Mastermind group. Back to you, Galen.
All right. Okay. And Dr. Peter, what are some of your key ahas from today's conversation, and how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, such a great conversation, Lucinda. Thank you so much. Your passion, your dedication for what you do, reminds me that if we can apply that faith into our works day in and day out, it's a no-brainer that success is going to come. Success as we define it, success as we're going after. So I encourage everyone, as you've listened to even what Anna said about having the desire first, but then, the faith comes next. But then after that, even now, what are you doing? What does the action and the behavior look like as you continue to move forward? So important. And definitely surrounding yourself with solid people who are going to help you on that trajectory. My name is Dr. Peter A. James, the high performance coach. You can find me on any social media platform at Dr. Peter A. James. That's at DrPeterAjames, or shiftyourmindset.com. Look forward to connecting with you all.
Well, fantastic. Hey, one of the challenges that we posted, or that Pegeen posted earlier in the conversation, we put you guys to work. One of the things that Pegeen suggested is she wants you to take a picture of yourself watching the show and then tag at Ann McNeil or at Pagine Power and use the hashtag Think and Grow Rich Live. And we've had a couple of photos come in already. So we're going to see if we can work those photos into the production of some people really excited about the show already. There's my photo up there. I think we got a couple more. We may have a couple more, but just keep those photos coming. We want you to get involved because this is, I was going to say this isn't for us, this is for you, but this is actually for us too. We really buy into and get into seeing people maximize their life. And we have each found that this process, this philosophy seems to be the how that you put your faith in action. So that's why we're committed to doing this every single Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next week, we're going to have a master class where it's just going to be the co-host, and we're going to be sharing with you our perspective on faith and how we activate that in our lives. I just really encourage you to be a part of it. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. You got Galen Bingham points at stake every time you subscribe, and we've heard that you can use those points towards some of the products at My 31. Of course, I don't know what the conversion rate is, so you can't really count on the conversion rate. I'm thinking maybe 4,000 to 1, but you got to check with Luecinda about that. My name is Galen Bingham. I am the leadership strategist. I am a certified executive coach. There's just so many ways to get a hold of me if you want to work with me and talk with me directly. But the most fun way is to go to our podcast, Whiskey, Jazz, and Leadership. It's on every podcast platform. Plus, it's on Amazon and it's on Audible. I double dog dare you to try us just once. We have conversations with incredible leaders. We talk about the whiskeys that they drink, the jazz music that they listen to, and what it really takes to be an effective leader. We've had conversations with Dr. Peter James. We've had a conversation with Miss Ann McNeil. And coming up very soon is a conversation with the one and only, the speaker who only requires one name, Miss Pagine. So subscribe to our podcast. I double dog dare you to try us just once. Well, that is it for this week. I want to thank our guest. We are just so excited to have this community and to be able to come to you each and every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow, seeing you next week. And until then, I pray that you think and grow rich. Take care.